Chucky Moore, and I am the local district judge for the 10th Judicial District in Westmoreland County. My district encompasses Scottsdale Borough, East Huntington Township, South Huntington Township, New Stanton Borough, Humber Borough, and parts of Hempfield Township. In Pennsylvania, there are a little over 400 district judges. We are elected to 6-year terms, and the qualifications for the job are you have to be an attorney or you have to pass a test that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, that the Constitution says that you have to pass an equivalency test to be a magistrate district judge. I'm a graduate of Southmoreland High School, class of 1978. I have 2 degrees, one from the University of Pittsburgh and one from Penn State. So I was able to cover both agriculture at Penn State and all the culture I can need in the city of Pittsburgh. I was born in South Huntington Township. My mother's from Wino. I was just talking to Mr. Scott. He was reminiscent about my Uncle Gum. And my mother was a Lesko, a family of 13. They were Carpathian Russian immigrants. My dad is a lifelong resident of East Huntington Township. His name is Chuck Moore as well. His father was Henry Moore. His father was Charles William. We've probably been in East Huntington Township for well over 125 to 140 years. I'm married to a wonderful lady. She's a nurse. We have 2 children. Both attend Southmoreland High School. They're both good students. I'm proud of both of them. I belong to the Mount Lebanon United Methodist Church. I attend Glenwood, which is a part of our charge. Wino has a church, Glenwood United Methodist Church in the Tars of Mount Lebanon. And I am a long-time dartball player in the old Mount Pleasant Dartball League, where we played for Tars Methodist. I was just telling Dan while we were having dinner, our star player, I can remember like it was yesterday, the mayor in Scottsdale, Chuck Team, his dad Charlie. And Charlie was a dead-eye buddy, I'll tell you. We won several championships, and I can see like tonight with Tyrone getting the hisses, I remember that. Tars to go up to get the trophy, and our strongest competitors were the CAW, the Church of Brethren in Mount Pleasant. So I'm familiar with dartball. I want to thank Dan for giving me an opportunity to come and speak. I want to talk a little bit tonight, I mean a little bit. It's a hockey night, #1, okay, so we didn't see that coming. Brevity is always an issue any time that you speak. I don't want to bore you about drugs. It's not a boring topic. Don't let me be misinterpreted. You know, our community, locally, drugs are a problem. Nationally, drugs are a problem. If I would have thought just 10 years ago what would be going on in our town in regards to drugs, I lost my bet. We in courts today, and when I had a topic, they said, "What about your talk?" I said, "Okay, let's try drug court," which Westmoreland County, and I'm not sure about Fayette, Westmoreland County has a drug court, a dedicated section to deal with some particular drug cases. It's such an issue that we really don't have a solution. You know, is drugs a medical issue or is it a criminal issue? Is it a combination of the two? I myself, I vacillate. You know, I go from back and forth. I don't know. This is year 36 for me. I had 27 years with the county of Westmoreland, and this is my 10th year with the state. 27 years in the county, all worked in the court. I was a dedicated court servant, worked for the court. I was able to rise to the level of Chief Deputy Sheriff of Westmoreland County, and then to the office of Sheriff. So I have been dealing with people for almost 36 years. I'm a people's person. And I genuinely like people, I gotta tell you. And we're gonna talk about drugs, but I want to talk about people for a second. There are a lot of good people in this see the news, and news is predicated on bad. That's what people want to hear. That's what turns the needle, so to speak. It's what attracts people to it. But I got to tell you, this country and this area is filled with a lot of tremendous, good, hard-working people. And not everybody that gets involved or does a criminal act is a criminal. People's perceptions are their realities, but my perception is this. I know a lot of people that have done something stupid. It doesn't make them a criminal. Okay? Bad choice, bad judgment. I had a lady once up at our Walmart. She's pulling out of Walmart. She pulls out, she catches the front end of a car, and she just scrapes it all the way back. She's in her late 60s. She looks at this car, way she pulls, off she goes. How do I know this? What's Walmart have in their lot? Cameras, right? And their video is better than the banks. They have the leading technology, they stick it in, it's high definition, they zoom right in. So if someone comes out, they see their car all scratched up, they go inside the Walmart, they get the loss prevention people, they pull the disc to where the car's parked. Within a couple of minutes, they have a description of the car, license plate, the person driving it, they call the state police. In the meantime, this lady goes home. She tells her husband what had happened. You can see on the video, she pulled out and she sat there. What do I do? What do I do? The thought process. She finally decided she pulls away. So her husband and her talk about it. They call the state police. Before Walmart has figured out the car and the license number, the lady calls the state police and says, look, I was involved in an unintended vehicle accident. I left the scene. I damaged someone's property. I want to turn myself in. So the state police get someone on the telephone with her trooper, and they agree to meet her at the Wendy's down in front of Walmart. In the meantime, they get in touch with Walmart. Walmart can call them. So she confesses up. The trooper does his job, gives her several citations. She takes a hearing in court. When she comes in, we look at it. 67 or 68 years old, member of our community, never a criminal act, not a driving infraction in all those years. So, what do? Throw the case out. Because at the end of the day, she did the what? The right thing. Was she guilty? Absolutely. Okay? Was this a good person that did something what? Stupid. Because the only charge that fits her action was stupid. Unfortunately, it's not in the crimes code. Stupid doesn't exist in the crimes code. It just exists in life. Okay? As I talk about that, I can also tell you that there are another group of people that I've encountered. And those are the people, no matter what you do for them, you try to do for them, it's an effort for them to get out of their own way. They can win $1 million on the lottery, they're going to spend $1.1 million next year and be further than that. Okay? You can tell them to take their license up and to do this and to come back next week and please do that, and it just probably isn't going to get done. They're really not criminals either. All right? They just don't understand. They are a lot of times are ignorant to the law. They'll say, I couldn't afford an attorney. In the meantime, the truth is they couldn't afford not to have an attorney. Right? So we try to work with them as well, so they can identify their problems, do as much as we can to solve those problems, take action so that we can get them through so that they can do the right thing. And then the last group that I classify, and there's only a few of those. As I told you before, I think there's a lot of good people. Occasionally, though, it takes a while, but I usually can figure out who the evildoers are. And then I took an oath for this job that I treat everybody independently, I think prudently, okay, without any bias. I'm not judgmental, but I judge. And if you're an evildoer, I treat you as you are, as an evildoer. But believe me, we just have a very small segment of that. You know, in a community, especially one like us where everybody knows everyone, you pretty much know somebody in probably each one of those categories that I just described. They're out there. But we only have a very few evildoers. But when we find them, we take care of them. Drugs. Okay. I have what they call a criminal docket. take the case to court. What really happens is that all the witnesses meet, all the police involved in the case meets, the district attorney is present, the defense counsel, whether it be a public defender or an independent attorney representing someone charged with a crime, meets, and then they decide whether or not to what? Have a trial, strike a deal. Okay? Or decide at the trial that we think you can't prove the case, we're going to find you whether you're guilty or innocent, or to strike a deal. So all day long on those criminal cases, I ferret through them, for lack of a better term, sorting through a deal with the district attorney office and giving someone an opportunity to strike a deal. They may agree to go to 4 years of probation, 4 years of jail, whatever the case may be, with a lot of facts being involved. So those cases I do criminally. And I have a busy criminal docket. One of the reasons I have a busy criminal docket, believe it or not, is Newsstand. Have any idea why Newsstand might be a haven for crime? In Newsstand, I can be standing in Newsstand, do a deal, commit a crime, 45 minutes, downtown Pittsburgh. 45 minutes, Johnstown. Washington. Wheeling. Monongahela. Somerset. Gone. Gone. Newsstand is constantly under state police surveillance. You cannot believe the crime that takes place in Little Newsstand. My docket is full of crimes from people that don't have anything to do with our area. Very little to do with our area. The people that are involved in some of those crimes from our area are connected from someone who meets them in Newsstand to deliver drugs or whatever the case may be. But I'm constantly arraigning people on drug charges that are from outside of our area who meet low-level drug pushers that live in our community. There is not a high-level or even a mid-level drug dealer in this area. They are all low-level street dealers that are enticed through their own habits, none of which are for profit, by the way. It's strictly to feed their addiction, and the drug dealers prey upon it. And this is a criminal organization that is a, if I went to the University of Pennsylvania, you could actually do a study on how well these organizations are run. It will be 1 year this Labor Day, so last Labor Day, in Newsstand. Give you an idea, we're going to talk, then we'll get into our drugs. Give you some idea, though, about Newsstand when I tell you this. There is a new operation out that the Pennsylvania State Police has taken. It's called Operation Shield. They have trained officers in uniform, mostly unmarked cars, but in uniform, that look for certain signs on vehicles that are on the Pennsylvania Turnpike or interstate highways that may contain evidence of someone muling. The word muling is packing or hauling drugs. Last Labor Day, a car comes off of the Turnpike, exits New Stanton, goes down on the ramp, and goes on 70 West. The Pennsylvania State Police trooper says that they failed to use their turn signal to go from one lane to the other. As a result, he initiated a traffic stop. When he initiates the traffic stop, he gets up and he comes past the car. As he's going past the car, he sees a driver and a passenger. The passenger, on Labor Day, 70, 80 degrees, maybe 90 degrees, has a blanket and is sleeping. They both are Mexican Americans. The back seat is filled with, that's right, take your time. Tell your drug dealer you'll be, no, just kidding. We don't know who he is, but we're looking for him. There's no arm longer than the law, give him the word. Let me talk to him, I'll straighten him out. If I can't help him, I'll introduce him to God. And hopefully God will be able to help him here in this house, all right? All right, back to my tale. Car pulled over, troopers out, initiates this stop, runs the tell you, it's an Enterprise rent-a-car. California plates. 2 guys in the front seat. Looks to be 2 Mexican Americans. Okay? Back seat. Loaded with, no, what do you think drugs? What you're looking for? McDonald's, Arby's, Long John Silver's, Sheetz, whatever the case may be, garbage. Why? They're road dogs. They never get out of the car. One guy drives, goes through a drive-through. The other one gets out, goes to the bathroom. They get their fast food, dump the garbage in the back seat. Drives for so long, the other guy gets in the driver's seat. Another guy goes to sleep. Next stop, he goes to the bathroom. They get their food, dump everything in the back seat. Blanket to sleep, pillow, rented car. May I search your vehicle? Easy answer would be, no, you may not. You have to have probable cause. These guys don't even have a problem. Out, you can search the car. The trooper's wearing body camera. He's got the body camera on. He asks them to open the trunk. They comply. He searches them, does a pat-down search, handcuffs them both, secures them. Now he's going to search the car. When he has the trunk, he opens up the trunk, duffel bag. He doesn't open the duffel bag. He feels. He feels like money. He has a couple other bags, laundry bags. At this particular point, there's a special number that he needs to call in Harrisburg because he thinks he has a large drug interdiction. He calls that special number. It's Labor Day. They say, look, our crew's not in today. Call your barracks. We'll call the barracks. You guys handle it locally. Other troopers arrive on the scene, body camera back on. They open up the bag. It turns out there's $300,000 in cash and $4 million worth of heroin in the car. Neither guy had a record. That's part of the deal. They're professional mules. If you sign up for a professional mule, you sign up without a criminal history. You get paid very well. If you break your silence, the people in charge of that dope visit your family. Those are the terms of the agreement. Okay, that's the standard contract that you sign up to mule those drugs. All right, you got it? You don't talk. If you do, they visit your family. They provide you with an attorney. You have no criminal history. You do your time. Your family's taken care of while you are away. This is a well-run organization. It would have been the largest state police drug bust in Pennsylvania. What they did is, because it was so large, the district attorney got involved with the state police that day. They convened back at the barracks and decided to turn this case over to the DEA. The DEA field office out of Pittsburgh came, took it. No arrest, you know to read about it in the paper. Why? Because they don't want the suppliers of the drugs to know. Now, has this case gone to California? I have no idea. The DEA takes it from there. Whether they put these 2 birds back on the road, whether they try to put them for informants, but that's how it works, because it is a major, major deal. They were able to track it. The troopers told me, because it was in my jurisdiction, they'd gotten a search warrant from me, they were able to track it from, usually drugs run just to the west to east. Money runs east to west. This was the opposite. Drugs running east to west, the money had come this way. They were in White Plains, New York. They were in Hartford, Connecticut, and they started putting the pieces together. So that's one nondescript car, one day, coming through the turnpike booth in Newsstand. And when we talk about our Newsstand, because that's your hub of travel. That's why UPS is here, FedEx is here. A statistic for Newsstand is the Newsstand is within 500 miles of 66% of the United States population. It goes as far as Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, all the East Coast. So when you start adding up the population of the United States, that's why those places are there. So, drug epidemic, absolutely. It affects anyone, social economic status, age, it doesn't matter. When it gets a hold of you, look out. We'll talk for a couple minutes about heroin. I call it heroin. It's heroin. The word you get is everyone wants to hair wrong. Okay, you got to have some hair wrong. But let's talk about the drug of choice when I was in school. Marijuana. Right? Marijuana. We're all going to have a position restriction on marijuana. Our state has decided to legalize medicinal marijuana, right? You can be for it, you can be against it. I have my opinions. They don't matter, okay? Some counties even today now, if you're caught with a small amount of marijuana, they say that's nothing more than disorderly conduct. It's not a crime, okay? If some counties, though, say even if you're caught, Westmoreland is one of them. Our district attorney, Westmoreland County, says if you're caught with a small amount and it meets the level of a misdemeanor, it's charged as a misdemeanor. I don't know what Richie Bowers does over in Fayette, but in Westmoreland, there is no tag for a marijuana. Marijuana is legal in California to buy, correct? Colorado, the state of Washington. I just saw the figures in Colorado. First year, taxes to the state of Colorado for the 1 year legalization of marijuana. Anyone want to take a guess? Did they see the number on TV? $1 billion. What's the problem that we have a lot of times in government in our society? Economy. I always say this, if I was running for president, I would focus on 5 issues. Economy, 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 and economy. They solve a lot of problems. This is a major, major business, marijuana. Okay? And I'll give you a little information on it before we go. But I'll tell you this. Marijuana tendencies are a lot different than what we're going to talk about with heroin. Okay? Does anyone have any idea how they can detect if they're profiling me while I'm on marijuana? Because I'm fat. Okay? I'm not kidding. That's why I'm on it, right? Because when you take marijuana, munchies. If you take heroin, you rot away. All right? Marijuana. I'm going to take a guess that this sanctuary is probably 50 foot this way, and maybe from here to the door, 30 foot, 1,500 square feet. To tell you, give me an idea of marijuana, and you say $1 billion. 1,500 square feet. This is from the speaker to that door, from me to the wall. Follow with me, I'm going to go slow with the math. We're going to stick 10 rows, 20 plants, at almost 2.5 feet apart, and grow them. 3 feet wide will be the rows. 10 rows, 20 plants, 200 total plants. We need wind, good Western Pennsylvania soil, and God's sun for heat. Add a little bit of H2O, and we're growing tomatoes, peppers, kohlrabies, and we're growing marijuana. Okay? Marijuana will produce at a minimum 4 ounces per plant. So if I was the worst farmer in Western Pennsylvania, I could get 4 ounces of marijuana per plant. Probably going to get 8, maybe 10, if I treat them right. 200 plants, 4 ounces per plant. 4 ounces times 200 plants, follow me? 800 ounces. 16 ounces in a pound. If I take 16 ounces into 800, I say to myself, 50 times 16 is 500 times 10, 50 times 10 is 500, 6 times 50 is 300. I get 50 pounds, right? I divide 16 into 800, I get 50 pounds. If I'm wholesaling it, selling it off to a dealer, never touching it, never having to roll it, never having to do anything with it, bottom line price in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, is $2,000 a pound. So I'm sitting on an area, a garden at home, 50 by 30, okay? 50 by 30, 50 pounds of 2,000, I'm sitting on $100,000 worth of wholesale product. If I want to sell some of it myself and retail it, not wholesale it, $4,000 to $6,000 a pound. So if I stay on the $4,000 a pound limit, now I get myself a what? $200,000 operation. Investment, time, my water bill. Now, if I want to really get greedy, I close it in because I can only grow 1 crop here during our growing season. So I heat it and light it, and I get 3 crops a year. Because they grow like tomatoes, about 110 days to fruit. 330 days in a 360-day cycle, I can do that 3 times with one 50 by 30-foot area. So when you see these programs about them in California and looking through the woods and all that kind of stuff, that's why. Because you say, why can't they see it? They're looking for 1,500 square feet. In California, allows you to throw 3 seasons. $600,000 from one old hippie, a couple of friends, and all the hooch they can smoke. They call that a pretty good. They can't smoke up all that profit, okay? So the profits in this drug business are to that magnitude. And I just wanted to, I like visuals. If someone telling you to play golf, take that medicine ball and throw it out in the middle of the fairway, for your swing, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give you a visual. When I tell you $1 billion in Colorado, what one 1,500 square foot package at a minimum can produce with just marijuana. Let me read you some things, because I'm running out of breath. Good job. I want to educate you a little bit, if I can, on heroin. Heroin's our problem. Marijuana is a problem. Heroin is a real problem. There are probably some of you in this room that have someone in your family that's been affected by heroin. One of the most challenging things that I have since I've been in this business is that I take a lot of pride when I say that I am not judgmental on anyone. I just want to judge on the facts. And I told you earlier about, I used the word vacillate, change back and forth. The biggest impact that it's had me change in my position in heroin are the faces of loved ones who sit in court and were absolutely destroyed by the actions of someone in their family that they love with all their heart. It is absolutely sickening. I have to tell you, I can tell you, I can give you this speech about being tough on crime, tough on drugs, and all this kind of stuff. I sit there and I'll tell you, there are times that I just feel for so many people, good people, that have worked hard all their life, taught their kids the difference between right and wrong, and someone decides to take that issue and do the wrong thing. And we'll talk a little bit later about solutions, but it happens. I mean, I talked to a guy today, he made an appointment to see me. When he came to see me, it was about his daughter. And I sort of figured when he had it, she's back at it again. He's worked all his life. He has a son who does well. Him and his wife, she started out with the daughter involved. Someone turned her on to drugs, turned her on to heroin. It got worse. She's never been able to get out. She lives locally. She lives with a pagan who hasn't helped the matters at all. He's got issues himself. And she's back at it. And Dad has spent, to this point, and talking to him this morning, close to $20,000 on his daughter and her legal and rehabilitation issues. And it just goes on and on and on. So that's how it affects families. At first I talked to a lot of policemen, being in the sheriff's office. Narcan. Narcan reverses immediately the effects of marijuana, right? That's the drug that you can take someone who's ODing, give them a shot of Narcan, immediately starts to reverse the effects of heroin that saves their life. A lot of people I hear, my friends, some of my family, people I hear on talk shows, let them all die, let them OD, it'll solve the problem, it'll teach them. I gotta tell you something, I thought of it that way for a while. Until what? I told them. Well, I see these people. So call me a bleeding heart now, right now, I've switched over, I'm for Narcan. And I'll tell you another reason, I'm like God. Okay, I don't decide whether or not somebody dies. If I have a drug to help anybody, if I can save anybody's life, I think that I'm programmed that if someone's robbing my house and I shoot them, and they're still alive, I hope that in my mind I will try to save their life. If I can stop them from an imminent fear of the danger that they may put to me or my family, but I am not to take another man's life. That's just where I'm at right now. Okay? So Narcan is with our police departments. You all can draw your conclusion from that. I'm just telling you from my own opinions and my own watching this happen, that it's the parents, other loved ones, a husband, a daughter, a son, that sits there and absolutely struggles with this horrible opiate addiction. There's a lot of places for help. We're not going to go with that. I'll tell you a little bit about heroin. Just when you think, because these are the facts on heroin. It comes from the Greek word heros, because it has a heroic effect upon the user. It's most commonly used as a recreational drug for euphoric effect. The nicknames for it include dope, H, smack, junk, horse, and brown. So when you hear the lingo, that's all heroin talk. Heroin, few ways to take it. It's typically injected. It goes into your vein. However, it can be smoked, snorted, or inhaled. Effects usually take place right away, and it just lasts for a few hours. So, back to the economy. Heroin is now cheaper. A bag of heroin is cheaper than a case of beer. It's cheaper than a fifth of whiskey. You don't have to drink 12 cans of beer or half a bottle of whiskey. Bloat yourself with a beer, wake up with a horrible hangover from the whiskey. You can do something cheaper that gives you a better feeling right away. Easy hit. $8, $10 for a bag of heroin. Can't buy what? 6-pack for that. That's why the economy has gotten into such effect that regardless of social economic status, you can afford heroin. How can I tell, or how can you tell if someone's on heroin? Well, some of the most common side effects would be a decrease in breathing. Their breathing slows down. They develop abscesses on their bodies. It can infect your heart valves. You get blood-borne infections, constipation, pneumonia, decreased liver function, and collapsed veins. And the trouble with heroin is that the more you take, the more you need. So after a long history of it, you need faster and faster and faster. I had a kid the other day, I asked him, how many bags you take? He said 4 to 8. Okay, so I was on that coffee for the day. It's last Wednesday. Next guy up, hey, we got talking, how many bags you take? He was taking 20. And then finally I had the best one of the day, the winner was 30 to 35 bags a day. Okay? What causes an overdose? We read now about the prevalency of overdoses. Heroin goes out of your system in a hurry. You dry out, you have withdrawals. Unlike marijuana, that lingers for almost 40 days in your system. So heroin, you just sweat it out. Take it right out of your body. They go in, I bond them into jail, I stick them in the jail, 60 days later they come to court, we strike a deal, credit for time served, you're out, go on probation. When they go back on the street, they might have been doing 15 bags. They say, you know what, I know I don't really need 15 bags, but I sure don't need 2. They start with 10 bags, when actually they needed 2. They instantly overdose. That's your overdose. Lack of education amongst the drug takers is what's causing the phenomenon of the overdose. When you give an injection into a vein, that's the most powerful. So when you see those people that are hitting up and drawing up a vein, hitting it, that's the way to get the instant rush. The other way, which is, if you see any of these things laying around your house, people can smoke it. All right? And what they do is they vaporize to inhale the fumes. They don't burn it to smell the smoke. They use glass pipes, right? A little small glass pipe to burn it. They also can use aluminum foil. You might have seen something on TV. These dope people use aluminum foil. They burn the bottom of the foil, results in the smoke and the fumes, and it's inhaled through a tube. They roll that foil up, and they call that chasing the dragon. Burn it, roll it up, suck it down. That's how they take the hit of heroin. The other way is snorting, just like cocaine. You crush it up, you mix it with water, cuts the heroin down, you crush that, wait till wait till it solidifies again, you crush it into a powder, you put it in a straw, or roll up a banknote, $1 bill, $5 bill, whatever, and snort it. And then the last, which you don't see often because you don't hear about it, and that's a suppository. Okay? It's called plugging. They take that dope and stick it into an oral syringe. They put lubricant on it, and they insert it anally or they insert it vaginally. Squirt it, hence called plugging. One of the reasons for that, it's more prevalent among people that don't want to show any physical signs on their body of heroin tracts or marks. You know, you'll see a junkie because or they take so much dope that they lose their veins. I told you earlier that one of the side effects is you lose your veins, they drop down in, you can't pull them up to take the drug. That's why people hide it between their toes, pubic area. Eventually they'll have this effect to get into their body because they can't draw a vein up to take the dope. Those are your ways the dope is put into your body. We'll talk just a little bit about the treatment, which is controversial. Methadone, right? I have a meth clinic right across from my Magistrate District Judge office. I find that to be somewhat ironic, okay? I look out and there are certain times when the meth clinic is open that it is as busy as can be. You know who comes to our meth clinic in Newsstand? Not anybody from our community. If you went over there and intercepted those people, they are from all over, because everyone from our community that are on it are going somewhere else, because they don't want anybody in the community to see them when they drive past the meth clinic. It's amazing. I see all these people from meth clinic, I don't recognize them even coming to my office for court cases. And that's the reason why. Methadone is a treatment. You know, heroin's been around since the 1860s. It was even marketed by the Germans as a pain relief. So it's not old. Heroin comes from poppy. Okay? Opium poppy is where it comes from. 66% of it's produced in Afghanistan. So it's been around for a long, long time. In England, still today, they use heroin medically for pain, very similar to morphine because it is at least 2 or 3 times more powerful than morphine. So the United States is illegal. It's not scheduled at all for any type of medical use in the United States. It's strictly illegal. And part of the treatment today, if taken, is methadone and behavioral changes. We try to make you do the right thing. You know, change your behavior. What causes you or triggers you to take opioids? So through a lot of interaction with the therapist, the use of methadone, we hope to get you off. The most telltale statistic, and I'm going to bore you with all of those, in heroin is people relapse 3 to 6 times is the national average. So families, people go through at least, sometimes a minimum of 3 to 6 times of relapse. You know, and these people on heroin, they're fearless, some of them. They steal anything. They'll steal family heirlooms, jewelry, money from their parents, grandparents. And so many of those cases go unreported. You know, I know that people talk to me and they're just not reported. People are embarrassed. And one of the things that a lot of parents or grandparents don't want to do is they don't want to call the police because they're fearful of this young person. If they do get caught and they are convicted, they're going to have a history, which will ruin them in any efforts to get a job in the future. So everyone has their own perception of how to deal with it. I don't think we can arrest our way out of it. We can't fill the jails. I think personally that it's twofold. One, I'm a big believer in education. Okay? Educate. Well, Chuck, why do you think we can educate people on the harmful effects of drugs? Here's why I think. Jim Baker, who was Ronald Reagan's Secretary of State, wrote a wonderful op-ed piece in the Washington Post that I read several years ago. And he compared solving the drug problem not through penalty, not through criminal penalties. Now, Baker was a strong guy for rule of law, very conservative Republican. But here's his pitch. He said it worked for cigarettes. Where are the cigarette police? 25 years ago, if you said, Chuck, put your mortgage up on the house, then you and your family are going to go to the ball game, and no one's going to be smoking beside you at the ball. You're going to go into the local tavern to pick up pizza. When you walk in there, no one's going to be smoking. You see the cigarette police anywhere? My kids don't want me to smoke. They don't want to smell it on their clothes. They see the harmful side effects. They do want to have nothing to do with cigarettes, all through what? Education. Cigarettes are now $7 a pack. Why? Because not everyone's smoking them like they were 20 years ago. Supply and demand market. Tax it to death. Whole 9 yards. Pay for the medical problems that it causes. It's worked. When I came in here tonight, you think 20 years ago, we were at a banquet like this someplace and there would have been someone smoking? It was accepted behavior. Education works. Our educational system in Pennsylvania. What? Get to school at 8 o'clock. Bell rings. Bell rings at noon. You eat your lunch. Bell rings at 1 o'clock. You're back to your classroom. Bell rings at 4 o'clock. Time for kids to go home. And we're off in the summers. Well, let me tell you how old that idea is. That was done in the 1800s to appease the Fritz, the Mellons, right? The Carnegies, because they wanted to train everybody to be a factory worker. We have off in the summer because we had needed all the kids to help on the farm. So the state legislature gets together and says, let's strike a deal. Us farmers and us industrials that run this state, we'll make an agreement. We'll come to consensus. You farmers can have all your kids in the summer do your work, and we'll train people to go to work. And we haven't changed it. Maybe it's time to start thinking about drug addiction at an early age. Teaching kids the harmful side effects. Teachers don't want to hear that, I can guarantee it, because you know what, in fairness to them, they're not certified. They're certified to teach art, history, science. We might have to bring professionals into the schools at some point, and law enforcement into the schools to start teaching kids at a very young age the harmful side effects. Show them the pictures of somebody's teeth that's rotten out. That they have no veins. That when they pass that, when you cut heroin with water, okay, to burn it, to inject it, why do you get HIV and hepatitis? Because they all use the same needle. It's not a sterile process. These junkies just pass on blood-borne diseases to one another. It's a horrible epidemic. I'll leave you with one story that just ripped me apart. This is how easy this can happen. 12-year-old boy, Kenji Ox School District, sitting in front of me with his father. His father is a puddle of tears. The boy is hooked on heroin. Okay? How did this happen? How does a 12-year-old that lives in South Huntington Township get hooked on heroin? The boy's grandmother lives in Jeanette. The boy wants to go visit grandma. Dad drops him off at the 80-something-year-old grandmother's house, who also comes to visit grandma. His 16-year-old first cousin. Okay, his dad's sister's daughter. She shows up with her 19-year-old boyfriend, who introduces the 12-year-old to heroin. There you go. Okay, now, problem-solving court. I don't have a solution. Don't have a solution. So, it's a problem in our community. It's nice. I've identified the problem. I told you a little bit about what heroin is. I educate you on how profitable marijuana can be, so I don't expect anybody to go out and start growing marijuana. It's not what you was the intent. All right? But it is a problem. I have something here, if you're interested, and since none of you live in North Huntington Township, my brother, Henry, if any of you know him, went to school with him, he's an attorney. The job for district judge like I have is open in North Huntington Township. He is running for the spot. He's an attorney. He's the divorce master for Westmoreland County. Graduate of South Point Center. But you can't vote for him. I'm not asking for a vote. You guys live in Fayette. You live here. But I'm allowed, because I'm up for office this time as well. Knock on wood, running unopposed, but still take your vote for going out there. But Henry's running, and I helped him up with an ID on the drug piece, okay? And it's a drug guide for parents to learn the facts to keep your teens safe. It's printed and put out by the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids. Everything is footnoted here. It's all fact. You can go right on to the Drug-Free Partnership for Kids. It talks about the street names and commercial names, what the drugs look like, how they're used and abused, what teens have heard about the drugs, why they're dangerous, what normal to look for in teen usage, the signs of abuse, and some other information. It goes through almost 16 different drugs. If you don't have children or grandchildren, you know somebody that does, pass this on, let them put it on the refrigerator. Had a boy the other day, comes in, hasn't been going to school. 10th grade. Seemed like a pretty nice kid. Stockier kid. Grades first 9 weeks were decent. Grades second 9 weeks fell off. Grades third 9 weeks right in the garbage can. The mother's a nurse. She works. She gets up in the morning. Before the kid's supposed to go to school, she's a single parent. His older sister's in the house. He's what, 16? The older sister's 25. I'm sitting there talking to the kid. Within 2 minutes, this kid's on marijuana. Has all the signs of it. Lazy. Mother's telling me everything. Won't get off the couch. Put on weight. Grades have fallen off the table. So I just don't burst out and attack him with that. I had to actually, be honest with you, lead the mother to that point. Because sometimes we as parents enable our kids. They're not doing anything wrong. Finally, I hit this kid real quick. I said, how long have you been smoking marijuana? He didn't say anything. I said, how long have you been smoking marijuana? I said, I want to know. Wouldn't say anything. There's a lady in the back of the room. She works for a social service agency, and I don't know. I said, you know what? She's going to take you in the back of the other room. We're going to drug test you right now. You be prepared for the drug test. He goes, 6 months. I said, you're lying. He goes, 9 months. Okay. Mother almost fell off her chair. But he met all the signs that you're trained. I don't have a degree in psychology or anything. You've just been around it for 36 years. You sort of know what might be happening. Long story short, I'll tell you something about the kid. Everyone has a difference. You draw your own opinion. I said, who's selling you the marijuana? Who's giving you the marijuana? I wouldn't say. I said, who's selling it to you? I said, I'm not saying it. I said, you're going to tell me. So the mother says, who's giving it to you? The principal's there. The principal says, the day you get in school. The kid said, I'm not saying it. I said, okay. So you're going to let me know that you're going to stand up for some dope-pushing guy or woman that's giving marijuana to you in school and other people in our community. Is that the type of person you are? He looked at me and goes, I'm not telling you, Judge. I said, I respect that. You're not around. I'll give you that. You got a backbone, you're going to draw the line there, then you're going to take the consequences. Which you're going to deal with. That'll come back in a month. But I got to tell you, as wrong as that is, I was not going to break that kid down. First of all, I can't beat it out of him. He has to voluntarily knowing. But he was convicted himself that he's not ratting anybody out. Which also told me that, you know what? This isn't a bad kid. We're going to straighten him out. He's smoking a little marijuana. Let's stop it before it gets worse. But right away, I just got the feeling that he was all the signs of it. Lazy was the big thing. Weight gain. Just not being attentive. Changed his crowd. His mother said he started hanging out with different kids. Sure enough, he's puffing on some dope at age 16. Causes these grades. The kid had decent grades the first 2 9 weeks. Just caused him to go right down and he can come up. Take one of these home, please. I'll set them here on the edge when you go out. They're pretty interesting. Sorry I kept you so long. I know the penguins are on. But I really believe that this is an issue that affects someone in our family. It really does. You're sitting here, and there is a strong chance that you've encountered it. That may help someone, some parent, identify, get them help immediately. This is an issue that we have to solve. Right now, I'm pushing the education part of it. I'm not sure that education and punishment, don't misunderstand me, that punishment is going to solve it. It's going to break us. It's going to break us. This will break us medically and criminally. I mean, this is a tremendous cost to put people in. And these kids that do this stuff, they go on this drug-filled rage. They have no criminal history another order on the heroin. Like, what person walks into the dollar store and takes beef jerky and batteries and walks out? They're on heroin. They're not thieves. They're on heroin in the sense of a thief to feed their addiction. Yeah, they want to get that so they can sell something or trade it for some dough. Listen, thanks for letting me bore you. I appreciate it. I'll come back anytime. It's nice to see a lot of the faces in here. If you have questions, come out and see me. Okay? I'm out at right by the old Sony plant. My phone number is 724-244-8891. You can call up there. I'll give you my cell phone. I usually answer the cell phone anytime you can call me. And you just don't have to limit that to any problem that you may have with the court or with a question. I can't give you legal advice, but I'll do the best I can to direct you in the right way. I don't care if it's landlord, tenant, okay, somebody took your lawnmower and never brought it back, whatever the case may be, is please call me, come and see me. If I can help you, I will. Thank you very, very much for your time.
I met Chuck a few years ago. No, I wasn't arrested. I've always said he has the perfect temperament to do what he does. Because I'd be the one to throw the book at people. And he looks at me and says, think of it this way. And it makes more sense. Again, thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome. Remember this when you're sitting there with that book. You usually have the last word. So you give people chances, but at the end of the day, you do have the last word in the position I'm sitting at. So I would rather be safe than making a mistake and being sorry. So that's why I tell Dan that all the time. I try to look at the whole picture and then use the last word only if I have to.
And we're all sitting here, and, you know, I live in my little bubble too. This will never affect me. Well, you know, I don't have kids. I've got a niece and nephew. They'll never be on drugs. How close is it really to me? Well, John Malone's going to tell you a story about what happened at the Connellsville Library last week. John?
Just take a couple minutes. First off, let me say, I've never had any experience with heroin, ever, never seen it. Let me go back 2 months ago. I was in Florida. Many of you know my son Jimmy, who played dart ball here. He's in college now, he's a pitcher. We were down in Florida, and one day he was off early, and we decided to go to Disney World. We're on our way. He said, Dad, you're not going to believe this, your branch was just robbed. I read it on Twitter. Lo and behold, long story short, the guy that robbed the bank went to 6th grade with me. Actually, altered grade school. Bully of the class. I can remember him tripping me going down the hall and laughing in 6th grade. Just a bad kid. He's the guy that robbed the bank. I was in Florida, wasn't there. Actually, a week before, he was casing the bank, and I asked him to leave, and probably stopped him from robbing the bank that day. They caught him with heroin. They caught him with the money that he took from the bank, and he confessed. He was just got out of jail for raping a woman and beating her with an axe handle, fractured her skull, broke her leg in 2 places. Got out of jail and did this. If you're a banker, that's your worst nightmare, someone coming in with a gun. Lo and behold, it's probably the worst place you can rob because bankers, tellers don't have a lot of money. And the other thing is, if you get caught, it's a federal offense, and the penalties are much more. He ended up getting 14 to 28 years, I believe, because it was his second offense. Plus, he got another 5-year parole violation. So we won't have to worry about him for a while. But the one that really hit home, many of you people may have heard about it. I've been president of the Carnegie Library in Connellsville for 25 years. My 2 sons were home over Easter. Day before Easter, we decided to go golfing. We're out on the golf course. I get a phone call from the library. John, we got a problem. Someone just overdosed with heroin in our bathroom. The police are here. Probably 20, 25 kids in the library. We have a great children's area. And if you've never been to Carnegie Library in Connellsville, it's a 116-year-old building built by Andrew Carnegie. So what happened was that the guy goes into our bathroom, locks the door, shoots up, He had 4 bags of heroin, 2 he shot up, 2 were still there. Fluids all over the floor, needles all over the floor. 2 women we paid minimum wage to work there on a Saturday were afraid to open the door. A little kid wanted to go in there, and they couldn't, it was locked. So we called the police, gave them the key, they opened it, found the guy there unresponsive, brought him back with Narcan. He walked out of the library, went to the ambulance, took him to the hospital, released him from the hospital. He went home. Within 2 hours, he was overdosing again. Police were called out, brought him back again with Narcan. He started getting combative with the police because they were ruining his high. And so with that, they took him to Collinsville Hospital to the mental ward. I took it upon myself as a mission to raise money to put in surveillance cameras. We found needles around the library, on the outside, and I'm not going to let it happen again. We got 2 quotes in this week, quotes we got a year ago. We just couldn't afford it. Like all libraries, you guys have a beautiful library in Scottsdale. They run on a shoestring budget, and we get cut every year by the state. In 1 week, we raised $9,000 for the camera system. We thought it was going to cost $25,000. It's probably going to be closer to $15,000 to $17,000. So we're halfway there. I asked our state reps, our state senator, let me raise half and you come up with the other half. I've yet to receive a phone call from either one. I called all of them, and that's fine. We are going to get that camera system. I think it's sad. My 4 Narcan, for what Chuck said, yeah, been away. If my father or a loved one I had was having a heart attack or stroke, and the ambulance is out for the 3rd time or 2nd time in a day, you know, you start to wonder, is it taking away our first responders from medical emergencies that otherwise wouldn't be there? So with that being said, I got a call today from the Pirates, which kind of overwhelmed me. They donated to me to raffle off at the library a Garrett Cole home jersey. And I brought raffle tickets if anybody wants to buy them. We're going to try to sell 500. I made them up myself. I'm not printing them up and spending $50 to have tickets set up. We're going to draw them at the end of May. And I will sell at least 500 of these tickets, and we're going to draw it and give away. I also got my bank to donate 4 box seats to a parrot game to go along with it. So if anybody's interested, buying a raffle ticket, I have some with me, and you can get it. But you'll see more and more about it in the newspaper. Had one customer, never lent the guy a nickel or a dime. He came in last week. He said, "John, I saw you on TV. You know, I'm really touched by what you're doing." Gave me a check for $3,000, and he said, "I don't want anybody to know who it is." He said, "But we got to do something." I had another person call me up and said, "My niece overdosed with heroin and she's dead. And I want to give you," he gave me a couple $1,000. So we're up to 9,000, maybe 10,000. I had someone call me today and said, "I'm going to bring you down 1,000, but I'm not counting it until it's in the bank." But I'm going to get to that 17,000 whether our state reps help or not. I vow to the community that I will do it. And again, it's not going to stop the heroin users, but it may stop them from doing it in the library. The last thing I want to do is I want to push our state legislators. I'm going to put a petition in our library that the guy got basically a traffic ticket in Fayette County. When you ask, he got misdemeanors, paid the fine, and goes out and does it again. We need to make it a felony if they do it in a public place, whether it be a church, a school, a hospital, because you know it's really impacting the community. When it does this, my biggest fear is you have a 6 or 7 year old in a library, comes up with a needle, and it impacts them. So if anybody wants it, I just wanted to share that story with you. I'm very passionate about the library. I've been on the board for 25 years. If you've never been in the Collinsville Library, stop in. It's a beautiful, beautiful building on the National Historic Register. We just, in the last 3 years, put almost $750,000 in the library through foundations that we've been able to do so. We have an auditorium there that holds about 250 people. If anybody wants to use it, it's open for rental anytime anybody wants it. But again, thank you for your time, and I'll give you some, you want some tickets? Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Real quick, Dave. President Dave will have a real quick business meeting.
Any new business?
No.
Yeah.
Any old business? No.
Any old business?
Pastor Jay. Okay. Have an invocation and we'll let everybody go.
Let's go ahead and pray. Father, we thank you for this time that we've had tonight. Thank you again for the wonderful meal that we had, Lord. I just thank you so much for District Justice Moore and everything that he does for the area. Lord, thank you for the information that he has given to us tonight. And Father, right now, we want to pray about this epidemic that is taking control of this area. Lord, I ask that you would bring some clarity, some education. Lord, would this start to, would we be able to educate the people in our area to help them to understand the ramifications of their actions? But Lord, most importantly, we ask that you continue to give us opportunities to tell people about your love. Thank you for this time tonight. Lord, I pray for safety on the roads. Give us safe trips home. And give us a great evening in your name.